Hey guys, welcome to another Be Built by Bros live from the Mecca. I am lucky enough to have Dave Hughes here with me again. He's been doing a lot of training with me lately. We've been having some fun.
Good time.
And on this week's show, we're going to do part 2 of the Incline Bench Madness, that I like to call it, where I show you guys a bunch of different movements, some of my favorite movements using an incline bench, again, to hit different angles, hit the muscles differently, affect different motor unit pools, and we're going to do just a few different exercises for each body part, and hopefully these exercises will benefit you in your own workouts and help you break through plateaus and get some new muscle growth. Okay, this movement is an incline pull down. We're facing away from the weight stack. We're using relatively close grip. This movement is really great for hitting the belly of the lats. As you can see, as Dave does this movement, he's reaching back behind him, so you're almost getting the beginning of like a pullover type movement, so you really get a really great stretch on the lats at the top of the movement. And as he's bringing the weight down, he's keeping his elbows close, his chest high, and he's bringing the weight down to his chest and really giving the lats a good squeeze at the bottom of the rep. You can't go as heavy in this movement as you would on normal pull downs because there's no momentum whatsoever, but it gives you an excellent stretch, an excellent squeeze, and hits those lats from a new angle. Okay, so this movement here is a play on a low cable row. I love this movement because what it does is it sets your body up in a way so that the angle of pull is really hitting the lower portion of the lats and where the lats really come off of the spine, so it gives you that thickness in the lower lat area from the spine all the way out. So with this movement, what you're doing is you're going to a complete stretch. You always want to motor to a complete stretch. And as he brings the weight up, again, he's keeping the elbows close to the body. As you can see, he's arching his chest to the top, which allows him to get a full contraction. He's holding that squeeze for a second and really focusing on that area of the lower lats. This is an excellent alternative to the normal seated cable row. And again, really hits those lower lats. Give it a shot. Okay, so this movement is an incline side lateral using the lower pulley. The bench is set around 45 degrees or so. And this is a very strict movement. You can't use a lot of weight. Even Dave was just using 5 pounds on the machine while he did this. That's how strict and isolated it is. He's keeping the slight bend in the arm. He's bringing the arm down. He's not letting his hand touch the thigh, so it's constant tension. And he's raising to the top so that his arm is just above parallel to the floor, and he's getting a really solid contraction in the lateral delt. This movement is different than when you do it with a dumbbell because there's tension throughout the movement from beginning to end. This is a really great movement if you're looking to build the side of the deltoids and go wider up top. Okay, so this movement is a low cable incline hammer curl. What we're doing is we're actually just grabbing the cable at the end. We're putting the hand into a hammer position. And what this does is it basically isolates very well the brachialis muscle, which lies underneath the bicep. When you develop the brachialis, not only does it make your arm look much thicker from the sides, but it also helps to push the biceps up and increase the peak. Again, you don't want to go too heavy in this movement. This is a finesse movement. You want to go all the way to full stretch. You want to come up to full contraction and really squeeze the forearm against the bicep to push that brachialis out. Awesome movement for adding detail and thickness to the upper arm. Give that one a shot. Okay, so this is a great movement for the triceps. This is an incline single arm, sort of in between a tricep extension and a tricep push down. We showed you this last time using 2 arms at a time. This is doing 1 arm at a time. I prefer to do this again with that hammer grip. And what he's doing is basically keeping his arm, his elbow up just a little bit, almost parallel to the ground. So the upper arm is parallel to the ground. So this way he's actually pushing out and down at the same time, getting that hybrid movement. He's coming to a full stretch at the top, and when he comes to the bottom, he's just locking out hard at the elbow. Just make sure that when you lock out at the bottom, you're locking out with the power of the triceps and not just extending hard on the elbow and injuring that elbow. Great movement for the triceps. Give it a shot if you're looking for more mass in that area.
Hi Merlin, you have any good question this week?
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've done
I know, we're back.
Happy to be back with Ask Merlin. So yeah, I was asked a question on my Facebook page. It's been said to use sugar as a protein synthesis boost post-workout to spike insulin levels. How much do you recommend? How many grams? What's the best forms? Should you use something like honey or Gatorade? And yeah, I mean, basically, generally it's recommended for most individuals who are looking to build more muscle. I always say that the best times to spike insulin are first thing in the morning with your first meal and after a workout. And this is basically because blood sugar levels are very, very low, insulin sensitivity is high, the cells are very, very ready to grab onto pretty much anything that you give them. So you'll pretty much partition most of the calories that you eat, amino acids, carbohydrates, and any supplements you take, you'll partition them away from fat cells and more towards muscle cells. So yes, generally you would want to spike insulin levels after a workout. I always recommend whey isolate or hydrolyzed whey as a protein source post-workout because they're very, very high in branched chain amino acids, especially leucine, which in itself can boost muscle growth, and it's also very fast acting, and also the branched chain amino acids can also help to boost insulin on their own, especially leucine. As far as a carbohydrate source, it doesn't matter too much. You can go with something that's more nutritious, like something like quinoa or white rice or a white potato. You can do something like rice cakes. All of these things are fast-acting carbs, so they will help to boost insulin levels. Other people have had success using things like straight sugars or dextrose or an engineered carbohydrate supplement post-workout. So basically, it doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure that the carbohydrate is high glycemic, or at least the majority of carbohydrates that you're taking in are high glycemic, so that you will boost those insulin levels and help to drive amino acids, creatine, glutamine, all those different things you may take post-workout into the muscle cells. As far as amounts go, this is very individual. I would just say, if I just had to make a blanket statement, for most people, like a 2-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein works very, very well. So if you're taking in, say, 40 grams of whey isolate after a workout, you may want to take in about 80 grams of carbohydrates post-workout. However, that depends a lot on your body weight, your body composition, what your goals are. If you're somebody who's young, say, and you really want to bulk up and you need to add a lot of body weight for like a sport, you may even actually want to go with a 3-to-1 or even 4-to-1 ratio. If you're somebody who's preparing for maybe a competition and you're watching out for your body fat levels, you might not want to go quite as high. So maybe something like a 2-to-1 or even 1-to-1 ratio. So again, this is very individual, depends on your goals, your body weight, your body composition. But yes, it is very, very important for muscle growth and muscle protein synthesis to take in high glycemic carbs and boost insulin levels post-workout.